Hey there, this is Adam Warner. I wanted to take a few minutes out of your day and tell you about Daredevil, a Netflix original series show. First and foremost, I'm going to cover the show. I'm not going to get too in depth about, the plot and the hooks and certainly not the ending, any of that. And I'm certainly not going to review each episode. It's only going to be kind of an overview. But with that being said, I may touch base on a couple of areas where some of the people out there might think, "Oh, it's a spoiler." That's a spoiler. So if you're one of those types that does not want to hear about spoilers, or you want to kind of look for your own little info and this and that, you might want to recommend watching a different video review or what have you, because some of the stuff I might chat about could be conveyed as a spoiler. So without further ado, Daredevil is a Marvel Comics character that has been around for quite some time. In terms of the show, the story is about Matt Murdock, and Matt Murdock is a young man growing up in Hell's Kitchen in New York, and his father is a professional boxer, and there's an accident as a child where he, loses his vision, and as a result, he gains these incredible supernatural or superhuman senses that his existing senses are amplified. They're multiplied, and it's incredible. He gains this almost like an ability of almost like a radar. He's able to see things almost like echo. I think they call it echosensory perception. In any case, the Daredevil, or Matt Murdock, in this particular show is played by an actor named Charlie Cox. He is relatively unknown, but he has been in quite a few things, such as The Theory of Everything, Boardwalk Empire, and Moby Dick, the TV miniseries. I got to admit, I think he did really, really well in this. He did really good as being seen as a blind individual. I think that his body motions and everything was just he did a really good job. Starring as Matt Murdock's good buddy Foggy Nelson, or Senor Foggy, as I like to call him, is Eldon Hansen. You'd probably most likely remember him as Fulton from the Mighty Ducks. But most recently, he also played as Pollux in The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. Additionally, there is Deborah Ann Wool. She plays Karen Page, a.k.a. the sexy ginger vixen Jessica from the wonderful little show, you may have heard of it, True Blood. And then last but not least is the classic character Wilson Fisk, also known as the Kingpin, being played by Vincent D'Onofrio. With Vincent D'Onofrio, I think he definitely had the look. He definitely had, the size and the mannerisms and everything else. I had some issues with the way that they portrayed the Kingpin in this particular series. Anybody who's ever been a fan of the comics or has ever read a comic that had Kingpin in it, Kingpin was an incredibly intelligent, just rock solid man. He had, everything at his disposal, and he was an incredibly powerful man for not having any superpowers of any kind. But in this, they made him seem really emotionally unstable, bordering on just kind of a sissy a little bit. And that was kind of a big turnoff of Kingpin, because I think that he's a much more powerful entity within the Marvel universe. Overall, the show, I think, was really good. I think it had a lot of good, solid continuity. The storyline flowed. Flashbacks did not interfere with the storyline. They only really helped it. So I want to touch base on a couple of references within the show, that little scenes, little sequences where you might catch a glimmer of this or a glimpse of that, and oh, who's that, and who does that become? And I love following those kinds of things, whether it's in Daredevil, or it's in the movie, or it's some other comic book related TV show. Whatever the case is, I like looking for those sorts of things. First of all, there are Ben Urich, when he's one of the news reporters, kind of a major entity in the show. But when he's in his office, you'll see news clippings on the wall regarding the Battle of New York, which is a direct reference to the Avengers. When the Chitauri came down and invaded the city, that was a direct reference to that. So obviously this takes place after that happened. The paintings, the painting especially of the White Rabbit in a snowstorm, that is such a favorite of Kingpin's. And the white painting actually was kind of an homage to his white suit that he used to wear in the comics but doesn't wear in the show. The orphanage that Matt went to is tied to a character named Skye from the TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's a subtle reference to Elektra Natchios, which you might know her from the movie that they did of Elektra. But she is an assassin that Daredevil, in the comic at least, later falls in love with, and they have obviously a very long-standing history. There is a very subtle reference to Atlas Comics, which was evolved into Marvel Comics. Another reference to Kyle Richmond, who later becomes Nighthawk. Obviously, there's the black suit. I think a lot of people might have been a little confused by that, namely because you think of Daredevil, you think of the red suit. However, you only see the red suit kind of near the end of the series. I'm a fan of the red suit from the neck down. I think from the neck down, the suit looks fantastic. From the neck up, however, the mask just, it looks strange. It's got a weird look to it. As I understand, that particular version of the Daredevil red suit was actually taken from the Marvel cross series called Secret Wars. They kind of redesigned his suit a little bit, and it was for the Secret Wars. There's a huge reference to a character by the name of Melvin Potter, who later becomes the villain known as the Gladiator. There's a very subtle reference to a villain who later becomes the Owl. There's another reference to Cornelius Van Lunt, who later becomes a character by the name of the Taurus. Jack Murdock, which is Matt Murdock's father, wears a yellow and red robe, which apparently pays tribute to the first Daredevil costume, which was red and yellow. And it was actually just announced April 21st that the series had been renewed for a second season, which is pretty fantastic. In the beginning, of the series, there is a reference to a character by the name of Carl Creel. He later becomes the Absorbing Man. When Matt Murdock goes into the workshop of the guy who makes all the suits and everything, in the background you can actually see these stilt legs, almost like a pair of stilt leg pants. That is what later becomes is used for the supervillain Stiltman. There's a very, very clear reference to a evil ninja organization known as the Hand. It's a red ninja suit organization, and they end up later being led by Elektra. The priest in Daredevil, played by Peter McRobbie, is prominent in Marvel Comics in a number of titles, most well known in the comic series The Runaway. There's a very little reference to a character by the name of Roscoe, who later becomes the Fixer. When you're looking at the little drug packets that they manufacture in the show, The kind of the serpent little symbol is actually the symbol that is on the chest of Iron Fist villain named Steel Serpent. Rosario Dawson, I totally almost forgot that she was in this too. She plays a pretty big character. Her character is named Claire Temple. In the comics, she's known lovingly as the Night Nurse. One of the cargo containers it has some Japanese writing on the side, and again, if you speak Japanese, you can see that it clearly says Asano Robotics. And then in the comics, this Asano Robotics was orchestrated and created by Yoshida Asano, which is later becomes one of Iron Man's enemies, known as Samurai Steel. In near the end of one of the episodes, you see Matt Murdock's mentor Stick going to this man who's kneeling down. He's got scars all over his back, and you're kind of watching it going, well, who does that end up being? I mean, really, with somebody covered in scars, I mean, it could be anybody. But who it is in reference to is a character by the name of Stone, which is actually in the comics, Stone is another disciple of Stick. However, in this show, or this adaptation, it seems more like Stick is taking orders from Stone. So that, I'm sure, will probably feed into the second season. So we'll have to wait and see. There is a really loose but possible tie-in to the Civil War story arc within Marvel Comics. Which, if you're following the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now, it's leading into it. All the Avengers movies, the Captain America movies, they're leading into the Civil War story arc, which is all-encompassing. I mean, it involved almost every single character within the Marvel Universe. And then last but not least, one that I found in a kind of a small little news group was Madame Gao. From the show. She kind of has a little bit of a Yoda moment. And what I mean by that is she's a relatively frail, little, older woman who at one point just kind of drops her cane and kicks everybody's butt. And, of course, Yoda does that too. Yoda, from Star Wars, hobbles around, hobble, and then all of a sudden he turns it on and he's, kicking everybody's fanny. But anyways, Madame Gao, speculations are saying that she is actually a character from the Iron Fist series known as Crane Mother. That's kind of a summary of all the Easter eggs that I know of, I was able to find and notice. So overall, I guess kind of in closing, the Daredevil series on Netflix was really great. It was easy to follow. You did not have to be a huge huge comic book person to follow and relate and understand and know what's going on. One of the things I should probably warn people about is I think a lot of people think of Marvel Comics and they think of the family-friendly, kind of shows such as like Iron Man, the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. They're all PG-13. They're fairly family friendly. This one, for the most part, is, but there are definitely a number of moments which are pretty dark. I mean, even from Marvel's standpoint, it's like, ooh, I don't know, that was pretty gruesome, but it's good. It's definitely good. So I highly recommend it. And that's it. So. Go have a watch, get on Netflix, and either that or post a comment and let me know what you thought of it. Happy watching.